sure you know, there's a debate about the future of the Republican Party, and there are some people who advocate what has been called national conservatism, which could be defined different ways, but one way to think of it is instead of going for small government and limited government, a kind of libertarian approach, maybe you endorse a bigger or more active government that will promote or even impose traditional values. Do you support that way of thinking?
Well, I'm not sure I've heard it put quite that way, but look, I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. I've said that since my days on talk radio. But I'm a limited government conservative. You know, it all comes down to the Constitution, Steve. It all comes down to the limited government republic that our founders enshrined, and that's
so more of the Ronald Reagan idea than the national conservatism idea.
Ronald Reagan said in his first inaugural address, it's important to remember the states created the federal government didn't create the states. And I think we would do well as a country to seize a moment where we again encourage states to be those laboratories of democracy and innovation that our founders contemplated.
There are now, of course, laboratories of debate on abortion, and abortion was on the ballot in a number of states this fall. In numerous states, people voted in various ways in favor of abortion rights. And it appears that candidates who supported abortion rights did well. What message did you take from that election on that issue?
Well, let me say, I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it. I'll always cherish the fact that I was vice president in the administration that appointed 3 of the justices of the Supreme Court, that gave us a new beginning for life, that returned the question of abortion to the states and to the American people where it belongs. And now that debate begins. I said in the wake of the Dobbs decision that we haven't come to the end, we've come to the end of the beginning. And I'm determined in however many years I have left on this earth to be a voice for the unborn and to work every day to restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law. I will tell you the Democratic Party has been very clear in their position on this. And I believe that the candidates that articulated their position on life, wherever that was, protecting the unborn, fared better than Democrat candidates in race after race. But look, I want to concede a point that we have a ways to go in this issue. But I believe that in the most prosperous nation on earth, we ought to be a nation that is grounded in the unalienable right to life, and makes it possible for women in crisis pregnancies to go to term or raise that child or give that child up for adoption. But I also think it's just as important as you see states advance pro-life legislation, that they advance legislation not just for the unborn, but for the newborn. I think we have a unique opportunity to demonstrate the deep compassion of the American people and say yes to life with the generosity and the kindness of every American.